Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Fortnightly Frontier. I am your host, Darjanator. Over there is my good friend Myre, and in between is Chat. Hello, Chat.
Hello, chat.
This week's episode should be quite a good one, so stick around. We will be talking about something that has been on the minds of a lot of people lately, especially with the game progressing so well and becoming so polished as it is, and that is the new player experience. Like, what are new players supposed to expect when they pledge and join the game, especially now with the free fly going on? And like, I guess that good enough is what's in the game good enough currently? Should it be good enough? Like, all that sort of thing. So,
Right.
Anyway, like I said, I am Darjanator, over there's Myre, and let's do this.
All right. I mean, so I guess I want to answer your last question first.
Mm.
Is what we have in the game good enough right now for the new player?
Yep.
Again, I mean, I think that the game is still an alpha, right? Very much so.
It is.
Mm.
I was gonna say it'll always be an alpha, but that's hopefully will change at some point in the near future.
At some point, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is an alpha, and alphas usually don't have that.
That's right.
You know, Star Citizen is a unique beast.
It's a very unique beast, you know, and because I suppose again of its funding model, among other things, it can't really afford to, I guess, approach alpha and the way traditional gaming studios approach alpha, because the game lives. I mean, the game's development lives off the the continued support of the backers. And if it's not appealing enough for backers at the moment, then, or if not enough progress is made, then the backers will become more and more kind of like disenchanted about development, and they won't be able to, succeed. And so, by that token, getting new people into the game is going to have to be kind of more appealing, like from the get go. And if it's not, then it's not going to keep them and get them to pay more for stuff and such.
And it's in a unique position right now because so much effort and talent has been spent on getting it graphically so polished, and that is the first thing that people notice. So they think, oh shit, this game is like pretty much done, and it's just so far from it.
Yeah.
So people get a false impression of what the game is supposed to be.
That's right. So
could that be changed? Like, could that be changed? Should it be changed though? Like, do you just roll back on all the years of graphical improvements, just to make people not think that the game is anything but an alpha?
I think that if Star Citizen was anything but what it was right now, it wouldn't be where it is in terms of funding. If it wasn't so beautiful and it wasn't so appealing, and it wasn't so promised land style, like this is going to be the best damn space bit sim ever, then I don't think that people would have funded and would keep funding it the way it is. So I don't think so.
Yeah, that's true. Then again, like I said, people start the game, they see just how gorgeous it looks.
Yeah.
And there's nothing from the very first step, apart from a few glancing mentions, to indicate that this is not a finished experience.
Yeah.
I think there should be a lot more, what's the word? What's the term? Not spoilers, but,
disclaimers.
Disclaimers, that's the one I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But at the same time, like, if they start to do things like, and they will not, this is just an example, but if they start to do things like release Crusader now with Horizon City in gray box, and you can walk around it and it's all gray box, I think that because of where we are right now, if they were to do something like that, then in terms of optics, people are going to be like, oh, look what's happening. Star Citizen is so far behind now. They're so bad that they're not able to release the game. They're not able to even keep this is what they have right now, basically. They would equate that to something being not quite right in development.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a point there. So like, they are releasing new, just to get back on the topic, like the new player experience. They just released a series of tutorials, And I don't really think that's, well, there's a good idea and it's a bad idea. Because a
Right.
good idea is because, it gives new players sort of fail-proof guide as to how to play,
Hmm.
how to approach the game. But considering how fast progress is made on the game constantly, those guides will be, deprecated in just a couple of months.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, they've tried in the past to actually incorporate a proper like tutorial
Mm.
within the game,
Yeah.
but that only was able to survive for maybe about like a month, 2 months, maybe
Oh no,
three.
it was. I think its downfall was that it got bugged by something they put in the game, and they never got around to fixing it.
I think it came around like version 2.0 or something, and then they started to make very slight changes to the flight model. And
Mm.
so it started to it wasn't like an instant breakage. It wasn't like instantly unplayable. But
Yeah,
over like a few patches, all of a sudden like Gilly the flight like leader or whatever would start to like wobble around and he wouldn't be able to like fly properly or go to his checkpoints correctly. And they try and fix those. But remember that there was a time where in Star Citizen, if your ship was to lose like a wing or something, then it would kind of like get faster, and so like but it wouldn't
but you
affect
know
like
what?
its
But you know
physics.
what? But you
What?
know what?
What?
That's exactly what happens with the new flight model now.
But it's more realistic than what it was,
Sh-
right?
this is just one example, but I was flying my 300i in Hurston,
Mm.
and its top speed is about 250 or something along those lines.
Mhm.
I lost one wing on the right due to
Bad flying?
turret fire. No, not
Okay.
bad flying. Well, not in that specific instance.
Okay.
Turret fire from an outpost that I was supposed to clear out, and
Mhm.
then after I'd done that, flying back to Lorville, I was able to top out at over 300.
Okay.
To maybe there's more to it than that now. Maybe we could just go back and see if um it makes sense to, when a race starts, to slam your ship into a couple of walls to break off a wing or two.
That was such a weird meta at the time because
Mm.
people were able to actually properly 100% of the time smash like the skids of the delta and start a race and overtake everybody like three
Mm.
times. It was ridiculous.
That was only because at that point only mass was taken into account, not
Yeah.
aerodynamic drag.
Yeah.
Like if I did that in space, I don't think there would be any difference. But because currently, when you're in atmosphere, the game calculates your terminal velocity,
Mhm.
which depends on your ship's aerodynamics.
Right.
That is why I was able to um, go a bit faster, just because the ship's cross section was smaller, so there
Right.
was not enough drag.
But bringing it back to
Oh
Gilly
yeah, the
and
topic.
and
I
why
thought you were gonna say the topic, not.
but bringing it back to that and why it stopped working eventually, with that mode and stuff, and because they started tweaking like the weight of the ships. An anecdote that I have from when I was playing it, and the last time I played it before they locked it, you come out of the asteroid hangar and you're following
Mm.
Gilly, and he's like, "I'll race ya," and then he says, "Careful, these ships aren't cheap." And then he accelerates to like 600 meters per second and collides with like an asteroid, and that's it. The mission is broken.
Mm.
Yeah. So.
Well, if we are ever going to get that sort of tutorial back,
Mm,
with without it being on rails, actually using proper subsumption AI and the flight system, I think we'll have to wait a couple of more patches until Ace AI is in. Because Gilly is supposed to be an Ace.
that's right. Like with all things
Mm.
said and done, I do hope that that we get to see things like the Ace AI and the new FPS AI working the way it should be. because right now, it's a bit scuffed. But I guess that's
Yeah.
kind of like another argument for another
For
topic.
for another episode, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that the way the FPS AI is in right now is just the right level for me to actually succeed in those evict missions
I think there was this one
because
time.
it's completely broken.
There was this one time I think that I was one of the only people on the server. It must have been a bugged server or something, or they must have just pushed out a
Mm.
new patch. And so when you drop something, like instead of it being like every like 3 frames or something per second, like the box flying, it was like properly like in sync with like everything else in the
Mm.
game. And I went to
Yeah.
do an NPC mission, and they were a whole different entity. They would move a lot more like in the old ATV videos of like them looking like realistic and all kind of stuff. They would react and
Oh
run into
damn.
cover. Yeah, but so I think that a lot of those issues will be resolved once they get things like server meshing and stuff in.
Hmm.
Like
Right.
speaking of
So.
which, sorry Darj, but speaking of
Mhm.
which, about server meshing, you did you see did you any of the BritishCon panels or anything?
No, not yet. It's in my watch later folder, like the Brian Chambers interview and everything.
Yeah.
It's but feel free to spoil
All right.
because
So one spoiler is
Mhm.
when I was interviewing the first panel, and the I've already forgotten their names because I'm a goldfish. But like one of the guy behind like server meshing and stuff. I asked him what kind of stuff
Clive Johnson.
not Clive. The one in the
Mm.
UK version of Clive, basically.
Mm.
And Tim Welch, I think his name is.
Not what I'm drinking, damn it.
But basically, I asked him like, no, John Senior is his name, and yeah, he says that when we get server meshing, we can expect from 50 players in the server to about 150 to 200 minimum, and
So, but the first version of server meshing.
yeah. So,
Mm.
Board Gamer actually asked there and then, like, so because of course there's server meshing, and for it to work perfectly, it needs server-side OCS as well. So he actually gave a two-tiered answer. The first one was
Mm.
that once we have everything in place, which will be by, by the end of the year or whatever, that we should get like a huge increase to both FPS and also a huge increase to player concurrency from 50 to at least 150 to 200.
Nice.
But then about server-side OCS, he said, yes, that's going to be necessary for everything to work the way it should do. But and it's likely that server-side OCS will come in before server meshing in general. But he mentioned that once server-side OCS does come into play, then provided that every single player in the game is in the same like object container, you'll be getting performance as if like we had server meshing, basically. So the moment server-side OCS comes, people like Rexzilla will be getting like 200 frames per second and getting, like all those, like benefits straight away because he has
Wow.
everybody concentrated in those areas.
I hope that is something that happens. Yes. Because that would make me very happy. Yeah,
Yeah.
like all the frames, like at least 60 consistently. I don't care about hundreds of frames. My screens don't even support that
That's
much.
true. My screen is 75, but yeah.
Yeah. So, whew, what we're talking about again?
Well, I mean, we segued from the new player experience to server-side OCS and how good that's gonna be.
Yeah, and I suppose that will be a great benefit to new players because they will spawn in at Port Olisar and immediately be greeted with the maximum FPS they can possibly get instead of 5.
That's right. That's
well,
right.
well, five is a bit of a exaggeration, but I did see today as I was playing, I did see drops to 25 or something like that. Oh my god.
What up?
How spoiled have we become?
You mean like from a new player coming to Star Citizen going, wow, this is okay with 40 frames per second, then dropping to like 5. I remember 3.6.2 or whatever it was. Like streaming, I would have 5 to 12 FPS.
And just today I read a post on Reddit from a new player who said, even though we were only getting an average of 40 to 50 FPS, we had a great time. Dude, let me not tell you about days of yore when getting double digits was a good day.
Yeah, I
Then.
guess, times change and so do expectations. But yeah, like
Mhm.
only 90s citizens know that. Yeah, anyway. Uh, but
Only 2890 citizens remember the days. Yeah.
so I guess back to the new player experience and back to
Mm.
tutorials in general. Do you think that
Yeah.
CIG should bother with like interim tutorials like within the game, like the way they had it with Gilly? Do you think that
Uh,
it could even be
you know what?
possible?
Something that they could do very quickly
Right.
is just have uh, another menu option in the main menu,
Mm-hmm.
guides,
Okay.
and have a list of those videos to play in game, not having them rendered in game,
Right.
but just have a in client player for the
Like
videos.
Elite
Because
Dangerous does.
yeah, I
Mm.
suppose a lot of games do that. Just actually playing YouTube videos or having them part of the installation. It shouldn't be that much more. Or
Yeah.
just just stream them, but just stream them from YouTube, whatever.
But
Um,
but
because not a lot of people are aware that Star Citizen has a YouTube channel, and considering how many videos they release, those videos get dropped further down the line of the uploaded videos. Yes, I can see that you're trying to interject, but I'm just going to continue talking. Go
but
on.
it's not immersive enough, Darj. This is Star Citizen we're talking about here. Okay? YouTube
That
is
is
second
true.
fiddle. Spectrum number one. So I'm thinking that in terms of immersive ways of adding a tutorial in the future, I'm thinking that if because of the nature of an alpha, they can't necessarily have like a tutorial like quest line or like actual NPC to hold your hand, but they could easily have one that's like, it's you get like a Moby-Glass call or whatever, and it can still be voiced over and stuff, like the Private Eye one is, and it'll
Mhm.
basically walk you through Star Citizen as it is right now because
Hmm.
people won't know apart from the ones who randomly, without any prompt, open their Moby-Glass, go to journal, and see the first journal entry. But people won't know that your character in Star Citizen right now is a technician for one of the companies in game called Aceido, Aceido, and you're basically like a jack of all trades. And your job in Star Citizen is to just basically do the missions that you were given because you're
Right.
licensed in
Okay.
contract,
Yeah.
and that's why you're
I didn't know that.
Mm. And that's why your citizen is capable of like doing things like resetting satellites and stuff because he is actually a technician for
Okay.
or she is actually a technician for that company and that's part of their wheelhouse.
Hmm. And that sort of skill set is like completely ripe for exploitation by the likes of the Ninetales and stuff
Exactly.
like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So like in the future, they could easily like say your first mission in the game could easily be a call. You press the button, and all of a sudden, somebody like shows up on your Moby-Glass, and then they're like, "Hey, you're up finally. Welcome to Port Olisar." And then, so thanks for taking this job on such notice. Welcome to Aceto. So
Mhm.
and then from there they can then say your Moby-Glass will be blah blah blah. You can now do these missions and that could literally be all it is, or they can then say, feel free to have a look around Port Olisar, and then you just go to like these points, because unlike planets and such in Star Citizen, where like the terrain changes every now and then, things like Port Olisar are pretty static, and so you can like go
That
to
is true.
so you can go to those points of interest and then do a mission, and then that's it.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about night and day to get lost, like because walking around ArcCorp or Hurston is a completely different thing, depending on whether it's at night or day.
Mm.
Yeah, that sort of thing would actually make some sort of sense. Like the very first time the game detects that your client is connects for the first time,
Mhm.
you could have like a forced tutorial mission, which I suppose you could
If
skip through.
if it's a Moby-Glass call, then you can just press the
Yeah,
button to accept or press it to deny, like many games do
yeah.
already. And then you
Hmm.
could then just have like a contact or something on your Moby-Glass to call whenever you want to try again or that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that's actually a neat idea.
Glad I thought of
I haven't thought about that.
it.
No, yeah. I who did you steal it from? actually haven't actually. Yeah, that's something that I haven't really thought about or thought of.
Mm.
But yeah, something diegetically would very much be nice. I was actually just thinking like outside the universe, but you're putting it in universe
It is a Star Citizen.
could be
Yeah,
beneficial.
it is a
Yeah.
Chris Roberts game. It has to be diegetic.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you
Well,
know.
I suppose eventually we'll get something like that. I mean, an MMO without an in-depth tutorial to tell you everything about how the world works, how the mobiGlas works, the companies, the factions, etc.
Yeah.
It would really be a mess if we didn't have something like that.
Yeah.
But when?
That's true. Eventually.
When should something like that be put in game?
Yeah.
Because like you said, funding is predicated on new players coming in and spending money, or old players be willing to spend more money on it, but mostly new players.
Well, since it's a Chris Roberts game, I imagine it's a matter of when, not if. Because with Chris, damn it, you just finished drinking. I was gonna say it's either diegetic or diarrhea, but see, you would have spat your drink.
What? It would have. Ah, damn. And but yeah, because the free flight is going on right now. There's a lot of new people coming in, and something like that would have been beneficial. At least a very rudimentary version, just to not to explain everything, not to hold your hand, because we didn't have anyone holding our hands, and we turned out pretty okay, didn't we?
Yeah.
Um,
That's fair enough. I mean, and you're right. For the free flight specifically, that's more or less why they have this tutorial system. But
Yep.
it'd be much better if they were linked in some way, shape, or form, so that anybody who so happens to get the game by seeing a streamer play it, or by seeing a news article that poops on the game, and then
maybe for Twitch, you should have your bot have a command that spits out a link to the playlist for as well as when you do fly now, maybe it should do the registration and the tutorials.
That's a good point. However, as a content creator, I can only be so like, it's cool that Star Citizen has just started to put through tutorials, but they already existed.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
And the one of the reasons why they were released is probably also because they were beaten to the punch by other people in the community.
I mean,
as well as having the free flight.
They've been consistently beaten to the punch for years. Every single patch, somebody does it. Like when I released my dual stick tutorial, Hazuka released his own like an hour before. Like
yeah,
it's like that's what the community is there for. I can understand them having an official one, but I'm not going to support it because that's what the
because for you the community comes first.
Yeah,
I suppose yes. But is there as a concise series of tutorial videos as CIG has just released?
I think Paul made one. Like
Paul is working on them. Yes, he is, and he's also going into like you were saying, also into the background of a bit of lore, because he is the lore master.
Yeah.
So he can't not inject a bunch of lore into his explanation videos, because the CIG did not do that. They're just basically explaining the mechanics of how to play the game.
I mean, if you want to help me produce one, then by all means, we can
We could.
Trying to rope Darj in here because it's a kick-ass editor. You can find out.
I'm so glad I didn't hear that.
You can find out more of these tutorials at twitch.tv/Myre or youtube.com/Myre.
Wait, is it chilling if you're doing it in your own channel?
I have no idea. The meta is like But yeah, I mean,
I wonder what the meta for is. Anyway,
but yeah, as far as supporting CIG's tutorials, they exist, and I can point people to them. But I will always either point to a creator who's doing one, or I would do it myself, because That's literally what I'm there
Yeah,
for.
and in the past, I do remember, when you got new players on, you took your time to go to the website and show them how to register and then how to install the client, etc.,
And
etc.
how to use my referral link.
That one specifically, you whore.
But yeah, I mean, as far as CIG is concerned, I feel like they have a way to go with all that
They
stuff.
have, yeah, and the reason, I think one of the main reasons why they are always beaten to the punch is because there are 500 people working at CIG, but there are thousands of board community creators out there.
But there are also
And
5 community managers.
well, they're managers, not creators.
And 1 content manager. And then they have JJ.
Manager.
And then they have Alex. And then, I mean, it's just a matter of priority, end of the day. It wasn't a priority. It hasn't been one. Had it been, it would have been done. They have so much talent. They have so much talent.
And a list of things that's longer than the train ride from Lorville Metro Center to Perimeter Gate 3, which is 3 minutes.
They have a list 3 minutes long.
Well, if you wanted to recite every single thing on the list, it would probably take a lot longer than 3 minutes. Yeah,
fair enough.
Hey,
yes.
So I'm just trying to, segue into my next thought.
What is your next thought?
My next thought is
Segways are outdated. It's about hoverboards now.
But they don't hover. Speaking of, should we get hoverboards in Star Citizen?
Should we get? That's a good segue.
It's not what I wanted to do, but damn it, I want a hoverboard in Star Citizen now. Like something that goes as fast or probably a bit faster than a person sprinting.
Okay.
But it doesn't deplete your stamina.
I don't think hoverboards are within the 1980s camp sci-fi kind of vibe that Star Citizen's kind of go for,
What about Back to the Future 2? They had hoverboards there.
That's different.
Yeah, because it's like a few years later.
Exactly. It's different.
Damn it, now I want a hoverboard.
I don't know. I don't know how they would fit. I mean, we have the Nox, we have the Dragonfly.
Just for traveling where you're limited on foot. But then you put it on your back, instead of a weapon.
Like a Gravlev kind of deal?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, in my mind, thinking about it, it just looks really naff. There are better ways of transport than standing on a board.
Yeah, but we don't have it right now. In the areas where you're locked to being on foot, you have walking and running. And crawling, I suppose. But,
I just think it would look really awkward in a battlefield if you just see people charging at you.
I'm not talking about battlefield.
I know, but that's how it's going to be used. That's how it's going to be.
But now I want to use one in a battlefield. Damn it! Just imagine somebody, like a Valkyrie flies over an outpost and a bunch of rugged Marines on pink hoverboards just falls out and starts flying around the outposts.
I hate this. No. I do agree that maybe some sort of use of the EVA system in atmosphere and in lower gravity would be pretty cool though. Being able to use the EVA suit in short bursts in low atmosphere to either reduce fall damage or to launch yourself like Boba Fett style. Is it Boba or Boba? Anyway, Boba Fett style over places would be kind of cool. But as long as it's not sustained and as long as it's not too overpowered, because I feel like Salvin says Bobar. Is it Bobar Fett?
So you think something like in Mass Effect Andromeda? Something you could jump and hover and then drop down again.
Yeah, just for a tiny bit to transfer over, to traverse over, just not nice terrain, or like janky terrain that there's no real proper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I think that work really well.
Hmm. But I think eventually, just for the sheer fun of it, I'm sure being on foot in a battlefield would be a lot more beneficial to you just from a dexterity point of view. But being able to get somewhere without running out of breath every 15 seconds, I think, is also beneficial when you're not allowed to drive.
But I feel like that kind of it's too much. Like right now in Star Citizen, you have your spaceship, you got your cars, you got your dragonflies, you have on foot. If you have something in
Mhm.
between those two things, then you'll be on foot even less. And on foot, then you have things like survival mechanics that come into play and that kind of thing. If it's like linked to your EVA, then you can say that whenever you use your EVA to hover or whatever, depending on gravity, then it can affect how much RCS fuel you use for it, and then that can like in turn affect how much air you have left in your suit. I just don't feel like adding a hoverboard into the game would, yeah, it'd look cool, but the last game
But
I've seen that had it,
think of the new player experience if you were given a hoverboard like straight from the get go.
I hate it. Just have a whole bunch of people in like silver suits, like trying to be Silver Surfer everywhere, and like would it work in space? I hate it.
No, it probably no, it wouldn't just because it requires gravity.
Right.
No, it's not like a dragonfly that also has thrusters, so it could work in zero G mode.
All right.
I'm just saying, like, especially, well, we had this talk uh, on the captain's table about why there's no children in video games, but I was thinking, um, so so there wouldn't be any kids around our corp, just flying around on hoverboards just because it there won't be any kids in Star Citizen. Everybody's a responsible adult who doesn't believe in fun, apparently, according to Myre.
No hoverboards. There were no hoverboards in Star Trek. I mean, I just don't like the. What does this have to do with a new player experience, Darj? Nothing.
Well, you segued it to hoverboards. Anyway,
Did I though? Did I though?
You put the idea in my head. Damn it.
Speaking of things that won't exist, I think somebody just brought up, like the I think it was the 300 eyes concept art. Like
Mhm.
there are these guys in what do you call it now? Like hang gliders. You remember that
Yeah.
concept art? And he was like, "Oh my god, I really want this," and a whole bunch of
Is that on the 85X concept art?
I think it's either the 85X or is it 300 series one, either or.
It's an origin, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, he was like super excited for it, and people shot him down on Reddit saying it'll never
Because
exist.
it was confirmed. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was just something to look nice. But yeah,
It's a shame though. There's so much really cool concept art, and then like even like background concept art can end up being things that people like, and it reminds me a lot of like D&D and stuff, like where the thing that you're supposed to be focusing on, everybody ignores and goes, like, what's this? What's this backstory? I want this. But yeah. But as Salvin in chat says, hoverboards, what's next? Roller skates? Where does it end, Darch? Where does it end?
hover roller skates. Yeah.
I mean, no.
Wingsuits. Oh my god, that would be so great though. Like orbital jumping.
Wingsuits would be actually pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
See.
But they're not hoverboards.
Like
they're not hoverboards. They're wingsuits. It's different.
Yeah, but wingsuits will also then have to have a parachute or a paraglider attached to them so you could land safely. Because I don't think just your suit's EVA thrusters would be enough to stop you pancaking.
Yeah. Back to the new player experience though.
Oh yeah.
And what we currently have in Star Citizen. So we talked about what we would like to see in the future, given like what we have to expect with the game and stuff, and with I guess like CIG. But with what we have right now, what
tooltips?
Yeah, what's the most glaring deficiencies from it right now? Like that you think aren't good? What are they doing right with the new player experience?
Well, it's there, it exists. So new players actually have something to look at, well, at least to get some sort of idea where to get information from. But they go way too quickly. The triggering system is way too weird and inconsistent. Uh, some sort of guided tutorial where it holds your hand for a bit would definitely be a lot better
Mm-hmm.
than what we have right now. But that takes time. It takes direction. It takes planning, and considering the game changes so much all the time, I don't think we'll see any of that until quite close to release. I think the beta is the first time we can actually expect to have a proper in-game tutorial, not before.
Right.
And until then, I suppose um, having someone do like 50 minutes of gameplay, do a voiceover and cut it down to like 2-3 minutes is the best we can expect.
Have you?
But they do need to promote those a lot more. Like
Right.
when you register for a new game, hey, before you continue, do you want to check out these tutorials because we don't have any in game yet?
That's fair. That's fair. Speaking of the tooltips, have you actually tried to pretend to be a brand new player in the game and
I
see
have
if the
not.
tooltips actually are like consistent, if they actually put you on a path that you need to be?
I have not.
Because as a new player, how are you supposed to know what the mobiGlas is, how it works, what button to press, that kind of thing?
Mm. Especially with when they completely rearranged the controls with 3.5. And they continue to do so with the new hotfixes for 3.5.
I think
Things do change.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's kind of probably worth a YouTube video, to be fair, as well. There is no hoverboard button, Yuki. Sorry.
But there will be, Yuki. There will be. Like if you can make it annoying enough for most people to not use it, like the way like it takes up both of your back slots, so you can't carry weapons. And after the physicalized inventory, you either take it with you or you take a gun with you because you can't just swap out in the middle of the field without access to your full inventory. Why not?
Because I said no.
Damn it, Mom! Myre said no.
So Age of Things in chat says that in Star Citizen they need more FPS in Star Citizen as a new player. Do you think that's a good a hot take on Star Citizen? So let's say somebody is like brand new to
frames
Star
per
Citizen.
second or first-person shooter.
I'm not too sure.
I think he's talking about frames.
Oh.
He said he continues to say, "I like the frames."
Fair enough. Well, in that case, yeah. I mean, it's an alpha, and so that part of the new player experience, I suppose, like it's an alpha. What do you want from an alpha? Full polished game? Then play a full polished game.
Yeah, and like I said, 3.5 has been really good with frames compared to 3.0 and then the patches that came before it. Apart from that one 2.6 PTU Q, I believe it was. I think we were the only two people on the server when we got like 80, 90, no matter where we were. It was glorious.
Yeah.
But then the next morning they already went to R and everything changed.
But yeah, definitely as Salvin says in chat there, they do need to, and this is a stance that I take as well. They need to add an entry quest into Star Citizen, regardless of where they are in the game. There needs to be, Luke Presley just needs to put together like a small quest that says, welcome to Star Citizen or whatever, welcome to Port Olisar. Phrase it however you want to make it diegetic, welcome to Aceto or whatever. And then just to get people into the game, to give them some sort of an idea of what they are doing. I mean, right now, it's a journal entry that nobody ever looks at.
Yeah, because I don't think even the tooltips tell you press this button to go to the journal.
Yeah. And I don't even know if
Mm.
in 3.0 that journal still exists. The last time I did a lore tour in Star Citizen was in like 2.6, so I don't know.
Damn.
Mm,
Mm.
but yeah.
Yeah, but there should be like it doesn't even need to be a full blown animated and acted out NPC. You like you said, you could be just a bunch of voiceovers like you get with the Private Eye mission,
Yeah.
which is still the only one that we have that does that, right? Everything else is either text or NPCs, right?
I miss the Tessa missions, man. For all like
Yeah.
the linearity and mundanity of it, like the fact that it was an actual chained mission that had a
Yeah.
beginning, middle, and end, that you had an idea of what was going on, and like, you know, it was an actual story. We don't have that. You know, we have all these like new performance captured mission givers and stuff, and I'm sure that they brought
Mhm.
them into the immersion area not just for that, but they also have other quest, you know, stuff that's just not ready yet because the mechanics don't exist. But I miss the hero mission givers actually giving you like proper storylines and quests and stuff.
Mm.
Mm.
So yeah, but the only thing that happens right now is that Reko now remembers you,
Yeah.
and they kind of fudge that. So she's not always introducing herself, no matter how many times you go see her.
Mm.
Mm.
So we have an off-topic question if you want to answer it in chat.
Are they going to add anatomy physics?
Yeah.
Um,
I haven't really used a
there
female model, so is there?
is what, boob physics?
Yeah.
Um, well, considering hmm, everything is very form fitting, so and constrains movement. So I don't think you have that sort of anime style jiggle physics that's a
No
lot of
dead or alive
people
physics, right?
not dead or alive physics. No, unfortunately.
Okay.
Um, but bust size and stuff like that. That is a wish list of the developers. Um, Ivo Herzog said that after the female character is in, and then and after a bunch of other things that also require that are required with animation and
Like
uh,
I think that
like the head forming attachments.
I think Evo and his
Uh,
team managed to crack that with the head stuff. And the you know the videos he showed of the journey that took is actually pretty
mhm.
awesome. You know, like being able to make certain parts of the helmet like remain static or rigid compared to like the cloth elements of it to make it look.
Depending on the material, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that the tech already exists. They just need to like translate that then to all the current existing gear and any future gear. But because of
Mhm.
the way the game is, if you were to you know decide to go with like 36, you know, what's the biggest rib cage? I don't know, like 48 double G's.
42.
Yeah.
Would have to be
Yeah, okay.
42.
40 if you decide to choose a female character with like 42 double G's or double K's or whatever, then
Mm.
that's going to affect your gameplay. You wouldn't be able to look down anymore. You wouldn't be able to hold your gun properly anymore either in the game.
Mm.
You'll be
Yeah,
restricted
and
in so many.
it would severely increase your hitbox.
That's true.
Mm. Um, but yeah, it was last time it was mentioned at CitizenCon. But the idea is that they would get some. Well, we would get some sort of uh, body size variations, at least, if not a complete slider. But I doubt height will be incorporated in that, and limb length, just
Yeah.
because of all uh, uh the difficulties they had in adjusting all the IK and everything for the female character, who is about half a head shorter than the male character.
Unless they somehow manage to make it so that it's automatic or like machine learned or
Procedural.
yeah,
Mm.
procedural, that's the word. Unless they somehow manage to make animations procedural for the two skeletons that we currently have for different sizes, for how they use different bits of, seats and HUDs and all kind of stuff.
Seats would need to also be then procedurally movable, just because for best ship control, you would want your head to be in a specific position for both the male and the female,
Right.
And for every, but basically the head needs to be in the same position. But then if your torso is like 20 centimeters longer, the seat needs to be 20 centimeters lower,
Right.
And stuff like that, or higher if you're shorter.
So they would need to crack that.
That is the issue.
Yeah, they would need to approach that, and they would need to crack that. And one would think that they should probably not think about that for the time being until maybe when they decide to incorporate things like playable alien species. I mean, like, the aliens are going to have to be able to use these ships anyway, but for the time being, they only have to worry about the aliens being able to fit alien ships.
Because now the Banu are taller.
Yeah.
The Xi'an are shorter. The Vandal are way taller.
Yeah, the Vandal like 9 foot.
Yeah. And the what's the bird people?
Tevarin.
The Tevarin are about the same height as humans.
But yeah.
But as Bang Chow says in chat, is like the CIG solution make everybody the same size. Because they're going into so much detail when it comes to animation, and they're not taking shortcuts, that is why they made everybody the same size.
But yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, that's a cool little topic there.
A little extra for people watching or listening.
Yeah.
First player experience is gonna be problematic until the game is finished, because so many things changed, and creating a tutorial for things that not only can change but definitely will change is futile.
That's right.
It's a waste. It's a waste of man hours. It's a waste of talent that could be spent elsewhere and making the game quicker. Unfortunately, so I think a CIG should, if anybody from CIG is listening, they should reach out to the community for a collaboration project. So the community, because they have already taken it upon themselves to foster in new players and help them out, especially through in-game chat. Like, I've seen a lot of people asking now with the free flight, how to do this, how to do that, and a lot of people very helpful in answering. There'll be a lot of trolls, like read the fucking manual and stuff like that. But a lot of things the manual just doesn't exist for right now. So yeah, I think CIG should reach out to maybe with a couple of guidelines of how they would like this see this approached. But to have existing players, veteran players,
content creators make the game.
Content creators take on the mantle of helping new players out as a living, breathing tutorial in game or outside of game.
I mean, you're right, 100%, and that wouldn't even be like new ground. Like, I think it was E3 last year for the latest Battlefield. They paid a couple content creators to make tutorial videos. It's not, Anyway, yeah, I think that's a good thing to a good place to end things on this topic tonight.
We could, yeah. How long has it been?
I can't see. An hour and 2 minutes.
It has been an hour and 2 minutes. Damn. So we did manage to stretch this out, even with the help of a couple of tangents.
That's right.
To more than just 10 minutes as you feared.
I did say it was going to be 10 minutes.
You did say, yes. No, but because you were so wrong, I'm going to have you walk us out. So if you would be so kind, good sir.
All right. So that's going to wrap things up for today's episode of the Fortnightly Frontier. Thank you everybody for watching live on Twitch TV and for listening on SoundCloud and of course watching later on YouTube. That's going to be it from me, Myre, and my friend over there, Mr. Darjanator. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Looking for the freaking button. Where's the button, Darj? In the verse.